especially from some enthusiasts who don't like change. After all, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram have been using the same few engines for around a decade now, so this new Hurricane engine definitely is a big change. It also begs the question, how does it compare with the current Hemi V8 engines, and will it be replacing those engines in the near future? So today we're going to look at the current 5.7 liter and 6.4 liter Hemi V8 engines and compare everything we know, like the performance specs, gas mileage, towing, and more, to these new 3 liter Hurricane engines, both the standard output and high output versions. So let's get started. So if you weren't aware, this engine that we're talking about is the all-new 3 liter global medium engine turbocharged inline 6-cylinder, or GMET6 for short. It continues using the Hurricane name as it's based on the current 2 liter GMET4 inline 4-cylinder version that's found in several vehicles. As for a couple important notes before we begin, so far the only confirmed application for the 3 liter inline 6 engine is the 2023 Jeep Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer models. I fully expect this engine to make its way across several other Stellantis vehicles, but we'll just have to wait and see for exactly which ones. The point is, we will be limiting this comparison to the Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer specs for the Hemi versus the Hurricane. And another important note, originally there were slated to be 3 versions: standard output, high output, and plug-in hybrid electric. We now know that the plug-in hybrid electric version of the Hurricane engine has been cancelled. So now we'll compare the engines. First we'll look at each one specifically, and then come back at the end and kind of compare all the details together. So first let's have a look at the 5.7 liter Hemi V8. This 5.7 Hemi made its triumphant return under the hood of the 2003 Dodge Ram trucks, but by 2008 it was in need of some changes. All 2009 and up Hemis received those changes, with more power and better fuel economy thanks largely in part to the use of variable cam timing, as well as much improved Eagle cylinder heads. Fast forward some 13 years later, and the 5.7 liter Hemi with the e-torque is now under the hood of the 2022 Jeep Wagoneer. This is currently the only engine available for the entire lineup of Wagoneers, with 392 horsepower and 404 pound-feet of torque. 89 octane fuel is recommended. Fuel economy for the 4x2 Wagoneer and the 5.7 Hemi is rated at 16 mpg city, 22 highway, and 18 mpg combined. The 4x4 Wagoneer has the same specs, but the fuel economy drops a bit to 15 mpg city, 20 highway, and 17 overall. These models also have a 3.21 rear axle ratio and are good for 10,000 pounds of towing. Now we can look at the 6.4 liter Hemi V8. This was first launched in the 2011 Dodge Challenger SRT8 with variable camshaft timing and MDS in the cars that have automatic transmissions. The 6.4 is referred to by a few different names, like 392 Hemi for its cubic inches of displacement and reference to the first generation 392, its codename Apache, or just 6.4 liter Hemi. Starting in the 2014 model year, the heavy-duty trucks and cab chassis got a revised version of the 6.4 liter. Again, jumping to 2022, this was the only offering for the Jeep Grand Wagoneer until the release of the Hurricane engine. Under the hood, that packs 471 horsepower and 455 pound-feet of torque, with 91 fuel octane required. Fuel economy dips down here, rated at 13 mpg city, 18 highway, and 15 combined. The Grand Wagoneer uses a 3.92 rear axle ratio and can tow just a bit less than the Wagoneer at 9,850 pounds. Now we can look at the new Hurricane engines and see how it stacks up to the Hemis. First we have the standard output, which will be offered alongside the 5.7 liter in the 2023 Jeep Wagoneer L models, and likely the regular Wagoneers as well. So it seems this standard output is the direct competitor for the 5.7. In this application, the Hurricane comes with 420 horsepower and 468 pound-feet of torque when using the recommended 89 octane fuel, and provides 22 psi of boost. That's a big improvement of 28 horsepower and 64 pound-feet of torque over the Hemi. The gas mileage goes up slightly to 17 mpg city, 23 highway, and 19 overall for the 4x2, and 16 city, 22 highway, and 19 combined mpg for the 4x4 models. The Wagoneer L will use a 3.92 rear axle ratio and is good for 10,000 pounds of towing on the 4x2 and 9,850 pounds on the 4x4. So comparing it to the 5.7 Hemi, it does look like it improves in just about every aspect. It will have 7.1% more horsepower, 15.8% more torque, and 5.5% better gas mileage for the 4x2 models, and 11.8% better for the 4x4s. Also keep in mind these are numbers for the 2023 Jeep Wagoneer L, which is 12 inches longer than the Wagoneer. More room equals more weight, so that would affect the fuel economy as well, so that means it would be better in the Wagoneer. We just don't have those numbers yet. The towing will also remain the same for the 4x2, but it will be 150 pounds less with the Hurricane for the 4x4s.